everyone, and welcome to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. Today is Tuesday, August 12th. Big week in the WNBA. We got lots of fun stuff to talk about. My name is Chelsea Leite, and I am joined by Cindy Brunson. You know, we're going from online pals to IRL pals this week, given the fact that both of us are headed to Vancouver this week for the WNBA Canada game between the Atlanta Dream and the Seattle Storm, which is very exciting. So I've never been to the West Coast before. You've never been to Vancouver before. So
I haven't been to Vancouver for the WNBA. I'm old enough to remember that they hosted a World's Fair there that I attended.
Yeah. So. There we go. Perfect.
I grew up in the Seattle area, Tacoma, just south of Seattle.
So you're just like going to your vibe.
Yeah. Well, I haven't had a chance to attend one of these Canada games before. And with Toronto coming on board next season, and I know Monica Wright really well. So I just thought, I know the Tempo are going to have a big activation deal there. So I want to see that, want to see her, want to see you, meet you in person for the first time. So I thought it would offer the opportunity to check a lot of boxes and, just feel the vibe on my little WNBA arena tour and get a chance to look at a couple of playoff teams in Seattle and Atlanta again. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we were talking about this before we started recording, but pack a sweater because you're used to desert heat.
No, what is this? It's not going to exceed 70 degrees Fahrenheit. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of getting on me because we've had a heat wave in Toronto here. It's been, I mean, I don't know what the Fahrenheit equivalent would be, but yesterday it felt like 40 degrees Celsius in Toronto, which is hot. And
that's really cute. That's not 118, Chelsea.
I don't know what 40 degrees is in Fahrenheit, honestly. So I have no idea what that is. I'm sure it's, I don't know. But so I was like, you know what? It'll be fun to just kind of get a little bit of a change of pace. I'm going to Vancouver Island after for a little weekend getaway. So I'm like, you know what? Nice. But I mean, well, let's hope the sun comes out a little bit. But anyway, just a smidge. But we were joking. I mean, you're used to desert heat and you're going to get a little taste of Canada, which, I mean, a little change it up, a little different. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of the big storylines going on this week in the WNBA. It is exciting. We're having our first regular season international game, just kind of a preview of what next season will be like with the Toronto Tempo. Of course, very different location. I feel like people who don't know Canada are like, oh, how far is Vancouver? I'm like, it's a 5-hour flight. I'm taking a cross-country flight to go.
It's Boston to Seattle for comparison.
Yeah, exactly. So not exactly the Toronto vibe, but it'll be fun to have the Canadian community kind of come together for the first Vancouver WNBA game. And I'm sure, I mean, the Tempo do have plans to play in different cities. I'm sure we'll have
they will be Canada's team.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll have this kind of event including the Tempo for years to come. And so I'm sure they'll be back to Vancouver. I mean, we got to get you to Montreal. We got to get you to Toronto. I'm sure there's
Toronto. Huge.
Yeah. And I mean, the East Coast cities, we got to have some WNBA in Halifax and Newfoundland. I feel like it would be really fun to bring fans out there because those are really fun places as well. But I mean, we also just have this very chaotic, and I feel like we're starting to see the peak of the WNBA season come up now. Because we're approaching,
it's the horse race for playoff spots now.
It really is. And I mean, the playoffs are approaching really fast. We're halfway through August now. And we're around the corner from that, but we're starting to get a little bit of an idea of what the standings might look like as the season ends. But at the same time, there's just so much chaos. I mean, Seattle has dropped many spots in the past few weeks. I feel like last week when I was talking about the standings on the podcast, Seattle was up there 5th, 6th kind of, and now they're down to 8th. Indiana has shot up to 5. Unfortunately, they have suffered some unfortunate injuries in the past week,
Mhm.
and so that is going to affect the rest of their season. You have the Valkyries, who are kind of holding their 7th spot right now, which, I mean,
Right.
no matter where they end up, it's going to be exciting if they get to have a little bit of a playoff run. Vegas has shown improvement, especially when you think about Asia Wilson this week. She had an amazing 30-20, first 30-20 game in WNBA history. I mean, it's and then you also have these teams here at the bottom. You have LA, who is trying really hard to get that last playoff spot as well. And so I'm curious, when you look at these standings, like what immediately stands out to you in terms of what we may see in the playoff race in the next month?
Go okay, we're nearly, to the point where we have a quarter of the season left to go, like
Mhm.
10 games and some change for everybody, right?
Mhm.
I look at Golden State, and I love that they have won the season series against Los Angeles as they try to fend off the Sparks for, one of the bottom playoff spots, but here's the
Mhm.
deal. Golden State, the rest of the way, has the toughest strength of schedule. They've got
Yeah.
Minnesota twice, they have to play the Liberty as well, Atlanta too. Like, it is going to be hard for Golden State to maintain that position. Meantime, Los Angeles has the 5th easiest schedule left to go.
Mhm.
So, the jockeying for those final spots, and then what is Seattle gonna do? All Seattle has done is drop like a stone, right? 5-game skid. That puts you in company with Connecticut and Dallas as far as the biggest losing streaks of the season at this point. So you don't wanna be with that group. You wanna be with the group that's playoff positioning. So it'll be interesting to see how Brittany Sykes continues to get integrated into what the Storm want to do and want to look like, and Malunga as well. Dominic has been so exciting of a player to watch as she has
Yes.
just shed her rookie skin and said, I am here. I am ready to do this thing. So, yeah, Seattle's schedule and their schedule is not easy. I think they have the 4th hardest schedule the rest of the way. So they
Yeah.
will earn every victory they get going forward. But I'm very curious to see if the Storm can hang on. And the game that's going to be in Vancouver, critical for playoff positioning because
Yep.
Atlanta wants to stay in the top 4 and home court that goes with that. And Seattle is just trying to hang on for dear life and get to the postseason.
Yeah, and I mean, they play each other twice this week. They play each other in
Mhm.
Seattle on Wednesday, and then they travel
Yep.
to Canada and play each other on Friday in Vancouver. And so it's a little interesting for Seattle because you have that home game, you have home court
Yep.
advantage, and then you go to Vancouver where you might possibly also have home court advantage given the fact that I wouldn't be surprised to see fans travel up from Seattle and the general area. And if you're in Vancouver, I wouldn't be surprised if you follow the Seattle Storm
Right.
as a fan as well. So like they might have that advantage as well. But I mean, I would love them to at least pick up one of these games this week, if not both, because they need it. But at the same time, you have Atlanta coming up, who again have been in this top conversation all season long. But they
Mhm.
also suffered, the loss of Jordan Canada this
Yeah.
week, and so we'll see what the we haven't. I've been waiting to try to see what an update might be, but we haven't gotten update on her prognosis yet. But I
Mhm.
mean, the injuries are just piling up for every team. But when you think about Atlanta, you had Ryan Howard, who suffered an injury earlier on in the season. Now
Mhm.
you have Jordan Canada, who potentially might be out for the season. It's
Yep.
rough.
Yeah. Well, the last time I was up at Seattle, I saw Atlanta erase a 17-point deficit and come back
Mm,
and win. And they didn't have Jordan Canada in that game. It
there
was Ryan
you
Howard doing the point guard thing, PG Rye, as they like to say.
go.
And she handled herself beautifully. And it doesn't hurt when you have Alicia Gray putting up MVP numbers. She's career
Exactly.
highs across the board. She is playing out of her mind well. So when you have that as the fulcrum of what you are trying to do as a dream offense, I like where Atlanta sits.
Yeah, and I mean, the MVP race has been interesting because there was a time where it almost felt like it was over, and now it just feels like completely opened up again, just given the fact. I mean, Nafisa Collier has been injured. She's
Mhm.
still, when she has been in, she's been playing like an MVP. So
Sure.
that it's not like a slight on her, of course. But then you also have Asia Wilson, who again like scored 30 and 20 the other day. The
Mhm.
Aces have been doing a little better than they did to start the season. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're on a 4-game
Yes.
winning streak, which is
Shout out
fantastic.
Melissa Smith. That
Yeah,
Melissa Smith acquisition, oh my goodness
they
gracious.
needed
That
help. They needed
yes.
help.
Yep.
And I mean, she's
100%.
been perfect. She was the perfect player to kind of slot in there.
Mhm.
They needed that front court depth, and Asia Wilson, I mean, obviously is benefiting from the help, which is
Yeah.
great. Uh, and so she's kind of boosted as Vegas rises. So does her MVP stock, because of course we kind of think about wins and losses
Yes.
in that race as well. And then you have Alicia Gray, who has been playing fantastic all season long as well. She's kind of, to me, like, comparison to, like, she doesn't play the same as Alyssa Thomas, but I feel like when
Right.
we're talking about the conversation of who we're mentioning in these award stuff, she almost gets forgotten in the same way that Alyssa Thomas does, because of the fact that, like, the games, she's not scoring 30 and 20. It's
Right.
not these big things that you can slap on a graphic and, put out there as well. So she definitely deserves to be in the conversation at least as well.
Yeah, Chelsea, to your point about Alyssa Thomas, she is at the top of the table for me in the MVP conversation because when she was second in the MVP deal a couple of years ago, losing out to Asia Wilson,
Yeah.
here's the situation. Her numbers this year are markedly better than that year.
Yeah.
And her team is playing beautifully as a result. The last time we had an MVP miss significant time was Jonquel Jones. She missed
Yep.
5 games,
Yep.
still won. Now that
Hmm.
number is going to be eclipsed by Nafisa Collier if she can hang on and win it, because clearly she's put up the numbers. But
Yeah.
I would argue, please don't forget about the engine. She is
Yeah.
about to set a record for assists on 3-point makes in a season, once held by Courtney Vandersloot. She's
Wow.
leading the WNBA in assists. She is averaging a career high in points per game. And when Phoenix has needed her to score the basketball, she has delivered a half dozen 20 plus point games for AT this season. Who had that on their bingo card? And shout out to Olivia Kuby, one of the best communications folks in the WNBA for the Phoenix Mercury. Her game notes are full of stats just supporting Alyssa Thomas's MVP bid. If you are sleeping on the engine still, wake up, grab a cup of coffee because AT deserves your MVP vote.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think, like, we're in, such a weird time of the year where people start having this discourse about awards, and
Mhm.
I feel like they do this intentionally where they don't give an exact definition of what each award means. It's kind of open to interpretation. I've seen a lot of people talk about, okay, well, the Aces wouldn't be able to win at all without Asia Wilson, and that means she's an MVP. Or Nafisa doesn't deserve MVP because her team is still doing well despite the fact that she's leaving, or
Mhm.
the fact that she's out. And there's all these different comparisons about MVP. So I'm curious for you, as someone who has been around the game for so long, what to you constitutes an MVP, and, like, are what parts of this discourse do you think are right and wrong, as opposed to how we measure who is an MVP? Is it just the best player? Is it the best player who, their team wouldn't be able to win without them?
Mm.
Something different?
Yeah, I think it's the win without them situation
Mhm.
for me. If you remove Asia Wilson from the Aces, it's a dumpster fire. Like
Yeah.
there's no shot when they roll the ball out. As good as elite as Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray and Jewel Lloyd are as Olympians, it's Asia. She's the straw that stirs the drink. Then I look back. How are you winning? What's your win loss record? So that's
Yeah.
where Asia pales in comparison for me. And Asia, I grade her based on past performance. So last year, she set the WNBA single season
It's
record for
yeah, it's
points
hard to
in a
follow that
season,
up.
north of 1,000. Yeah. So it's like, okay. Because that's why she fell back to Stewie just a few years ago, because
Yeah.
I literally, that was the deciding thing for me. I was like, okay, Asia, you just won MVP and your numbers aren't quite as good as they were then. So that was it
Mhm.
for me. And then for me, Alyssa Thomas, you take her off the Mercury and they are not a top 3 team. They are not shooting the 3 ball as well as they are. The fact that she has invented a new position in point forward
Yeah.
and now is excelling in that role at this stage in her career. And again, the scoring piece for me, a career high in points per game. And she's free throwing at a decent mark. There have been times when she's been in the MVP conversation and barely shooting north of 50% from the free throw line. She's north of 70 now. Like, she is contributing in every way possible that she can to help the Mercury win. And don't get me started on the defensive end. The baskets that she takes away, getting the toughest 4 and 5 defensive assignment as well to help the Mercury win. Yeah, that it's the all around. How are you making your team better? And that's why I'm leaning Alyssa Thomas now.
Yeah, I mean, to present like a different, way of thinking about it, there's also the fact that, I'm looking at the standings right now, and when you look at the Minnesota Lynx, they have a 6.5 game lead over the next highest team, which right now
Yep.
is a tie between the Liberty and the Dream. And that's like a very different way of measuring too that you can think about is the fact that the Minnesota Lynx, despite the fact that they perform well with or without Nafisa, the
Mhm.
fact that she is averaging, I think right now it's around 23 points per game, has
Yeah.
helped them be able to be 6.5 games higher than the next highest team, which in a standings pool where the number two team is at a 6.5 game difference and the you know seventh and eighth teams are at 10.5, like there's only a
Mhm.
four and a half game difference between 2 and 8. Like, to have a 6.5 point or game lead in
Yeah.
these standings is also an incredible feat. And so there's just so many different angles to prioritize here. And like I was saying, it's like whatever you prioritize when you're thinking about MVP.
Mhm.
If you are, if you have a vote or if you're just thinking about it
Right.
in regards to being a fan. But it's a very interesting race. And I feel like another one of these awards that is very ambiguous as well as most improved player because again, it's like, is it someone who hasn't performed like this their whole career and then suddenly has a
Mhm.
big season? Is it someone who we knew had that potential but maybe had injury, maybe, had or maybe they missed a season due to something and then they come back and have a really great season? So yeah,
Mhm.
same question here when we think about most improved because I know that there's a few names floating around here, but what do you measure when you think about the most improved player award?
I always look back for career work. What have you done
Mhm.
for me lately? And what is better now? And to impress me, it can't just be one category. You can't just increase points per game. Good for you. You're supposed to do that. You're in the WNBA. You're playing amongst the best women in the world. So you need to
Mhm.
be able to score the basketball. But if your rebounds are where they need to be, if
Mhm.
your percentages from 3 and 2 also increase, and if you become transformative in one of those roles. And this is why I have Azure Stevens at the top of my dance card when it comes to most improved, because the 3 point shooting piece is out of this world excellent. And she
Yeah.
has become a weapon on routine out of bounds plays. After the timeout, when she sits in the corner, everybody in the WNBA should just go, well, she's about to splash a three, because
Yeah.
that has been the Lynn Roberts go to. And it is a thing of beauty. She's been so reliable. She doesn't demand touches, but she's there when the ball gets to her, ready to shoot in the shooting pocket. And the fact that you can have somebody 6'6" effectively shooting the three, then she enters the stratosphere where Jonquel Jones lives, where
Mhm.
Brianna Stewart lives. Like, when folks are that tall and can
Wouldn't know
dominate
myself.
on the right? Dominate on the glass and shoot the three beautifully, it's just next level. And for me, as Los Angeles has went through its growing pains, right? Went through
Mhm.
injuries, went through, they've got the coaching change. They had to bring in a defensive specialist and Latricia Trammell. There's just been a lot of growing that has happened during the season. But a consistent piece of that, along with the Erica Hamby, has been Azure Stevens. And for Stevens to do what she's doing night in and night out as her name rises up the scout list, right? Who do we got to stop? Who are we concentrating on? And the fact that she is still eating at a career high pace, it's her award for me.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at I'm looking at Azure Stevens, her hoop stats page right now,
Hmm.
and her career average points per game is 10.2 points. This season she's at 14.5 points per game. When
Hmm.
you think about her field goal percentage, career 45.3%, this season 50.9%. Her 3 point percentage, career 35.7%, right now 42.4%. In the 90,
Huge.
95th percentile league wide, which is huge. Puts her
Yeah.
probably in the top 10, I would say,
Yeah. Yeah.
league wide. And then with the rebounding, I mean, she's in the 97th percentile league wide for defensive rebound. She makes 6.4 defensive rebounds per game, a total of 8.2 total rebounds per game, compared to her career average of 5.5 rebounds
Mhm.
per game. And so, like, you just think about all of these stats. I mean, her hoop stats has it really great where you can just see them all on the chart and you can see how she's improved year by year. But just the jump this year alone from even last year. I mean, she was scoring 9.6 points per game last season, now at 14.5 points. So,
Mhm.
the jump from her average is one thing, the jump from last year is another thing. I mean, she only was shooting 39.9% from the field last year. This year is at 50.9%. So it's like, it's a wild jump for her. Like,
Chelsea,
and
thank you for reinforcing my argument
I
for
got
Stevens
you.
for most
That's what
improved.
That's what I'm here for. But yeah, I mean, I'm someone who likes to back up my opinions with the statistics.
Yeah.
And I mean, she is just someone, excuse me, that has a lot of data to show. And so you kind of see what she has played like for the past. I mean, she's been in the league since 2018. So you
Mhm.
can see that. But then you also have this season. And I think her jump is such like a big reason why she's in this conversation. I
Yeah.
mean, another player that's in this conversation, and I think is, again, to give like a different perspective of how people can be voting,
Mhm.
is Veronica Burton, who is
Woo-hoo!
having,
Babies,
yeah,
babies.
Valkyries. She's having a, I would say, well, Azrae Stevens is having a most improved season.
Mhm.
Veronica Burton's having a breakout season. I think
For
that
sure.
this is the first season. I mean, when you look at the numbers, it's definitely the first season of her career that she's making an impact on her team. Last year in Connecticut, she played 31 games, only started in one. This year so far, she's played 31 games, started in all 31 games.
Mhm.
She's up from 12.7 minutes per game to 28.6 minutes per game with the Valkyries this season, and up from 3.1 points per game last season to 10.6 points per game this season. And so when
Yeah.
you look at these, like her chart, it's more like, okay, she's finally in a place where she's getting the opportunity to have the minutes to play in a system where she is a huge part of it. And so I think that kind of shifts from, okay, do you see most improved as a player has been playing a certain way their entire career and then just jumps from one year to another in the way that
Mhm.
Azrae Stevens has? Or do you look at it in the fact that a player hasn't really gotten the opportunity for their entire career and then jumps, has a breakout season? So I think like the verbiage on it is a little different, and whatever,
Yeah.
people decide to prioritize their vote on is their own their own decision. But I think it's two very different cases for the award, but also, again, it's just very ambiguous in the way that they word it.
For sure. I love VB's game, and any fan of Athletes Unlimited knows
Yes.
we've seen this Veronica before. She
Yeah, for
has
sure.
freaked out big time in Athletes Unlimited, and I'm just so glad that the WNBA and the world is getting the opportunity to see how special of a player that Burton is. But for me, when you go from basically a non-starter role to starter, that's a completely different conversation when you're talking
Yeah.
about most improved, because you just have more access to the basketball, especially at her position as a point guard. And also for me, it's the confidence, right? The confidence
Mhm.
from the coaching staff. This is your job. Nobody's going to take it from you.
Yep.
Go do you.
Yep.
And that's why we're seeing Veronica flourish, because she just hasn't been afforded that since she left Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
So we see it now with the confidence piece, but
Yeah.
that's the takeaway for me. That's the only little bit of an asterisk I put on it. When you
Yeah.
move from being a role player in this league to a starter, you're supposed to take the reins. You're
Yeah.
supposed to do this. We saw it with Kelsey
Yeah.
Plum. We
Yep.
saw it with Skylar Diggins.
Mhm.
When you get to this point in your career and you finally get the keys to the car, you're
Yes.
supposed to drive it like a Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same as Dejanay Carrington last year too. Like that was a
Yeah,
huge part of her, and I think that's why, like, I would argue to maybe add an award to the slate, like, and put like a breakout player of the year
yeah,
kind of award, just
yeah,
to kind of be able to differentiate a little bit for these players that have had these breakout seasons, because I do, they do deserve to be celebrated. It's really hard to carve yourself a place in this league. It's
Yeah.
really hard to find a place that, after a few seasons of just kind of being on the fringe of a roster, to
Mhm.
be able to flourish. And I think that's the fun part about watching the Valkyries this season, is that it's all these players that you have brought together who have been on those fringe roster spots for so
Mhm.
long. And because of expansion and because of the way the Valkyries have been team building this year, it's been really fun to see those players begin to flourish. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think it's a different distinction than, say, like the Azari Stevens, who have truly just like improved their game.
Yes, 100%. And for the Valkyries, my coach of the year, Natalie Nakase, hands
Hmm.
down, point blank, to create a culture that quickly. And we always talk about this, Chelsea. The WNBA isn't necessarily about skill. I mean, you got to have that to be, looking forward. What do we got? 160 players now instead
Yeah.
of 144 to make that cut. But it's also about fit. And
Hmm.
what's most impressive about the Valkyries as they try to hang on to this playoff spot that they currently have is they have created fits for people, to your point, that had kind of had trouble sticking to rosters. And so I love how Natalie has poured into these players, given everybody the green light. You do
Hmm.
you. We're going to make this work for you offensively. Just play defense like I draw up.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done. To
Yep.
hold the Sparks to under 60 points when they are one of the top 3 scoring teams in the league,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And you know how I feel about Valhalla. Having attended a game at Chase Center
Yep.
this season, what a vibe. And now we get to meet Violet. Are
Our
you
girl
serious?
Violet. Oh man,
Woo!
that was funny. Yeah, Violet, the Valkyries, if you didn't see last night, unveiled their mascot, Violet
Yep,
the Raven.
yep.
And I'm kind of, not that I would want her to be a vulture, but I would like the alliteration of Violet the Vulture, but whatever, it's fine.
Oh, I
Um,
feel you. I'm a fan of alliteration. I like that.
yes, I love me some alliteration. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so they announced their mascot, a very fun purple raven. She has big glasses. And I saw some people trying to compare her to Ellie, the elephant, the New York
Okay,
Liberties mascot. And I just
right?
need to put it out there that these are two different girlies with two different aesthetics. We like, Ellie's living her New York, upper East Side life,
Oh, no,
Bronx
she's
life.
Brooklyn. She's
She's
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn. True, true,
baby.
true.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I don't want to offend the New York people with my
Yeah.
ignorant Canadian thoughts about New York. Um, but yeah, she's living her Brooklyn life. She,
Mhm.
the way I explained it was like, our girl Ellie, she does Pilates and goes to brunch. Violet goes to the farmer's market. Ellie's going to Coachella. Violet's going to Oshiega. you
Okay.
know, Ellie's teaching the dance class and Violet's, volunteering at the library.
Mm,
You know, Ellie has her mimosas in the morning. Violet has her matcha. Like they're two different aesthetics.
okay.
And so I don't think we should be pitting our girls against each other. We want the
No.
girlies to exist together and be friends. Um, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they end up collabing. But I do love. I think she's so cute. I love the glasses. As
The
someone who wears
glasses for me
glasses,
did it. It's like I don't call a game without glasses on. So that was very relatable to me right away from the jump.
it's
And
like our
just
girl got to
then more,
see.
yeah, and more incorporation of that beautiful colorway, right?
Yes,
Of
yeah,
all of the things that the Valkyries rolled out when they first started getting this ball rolling,
yep.
that violet color is stunning.
Stunning. It's
It just
beautiful.
it's
I'm
so
sad they got to it before Trump. That was my first thought when they unveiled it. I was like, "No, I wanted that." It's okay. We
Yeah.
have our plum and blue
Yeah,
colorway,
yeah.
which I
It's very
which I
pretty,
do
and
enjoy too. It is very pretty. It's a good
it is. It's
combination,
really and
but
it's really stunning in person. I'm super
yeah.
excited to see what that court looks like because I think that's
Yes.
another thing the Valkyries as a franchise got right. Just the look and feel. That parquet floor in the herringbone pattern
Yes. It's
is
stunning.
so stunning.
Stunning. It's like up there with my favorite courts. That court and the Raptors had a beautiful court this season that had like a
Yeah.
honey kind of
Mhm.
wood color, and I
Yep.
something about it, like a nice court just gets to me because you're watching the game and it just like adds to the aesthetic of everything.
Oh,
And then
for
with the
sure.
Valkyries who have their beautiful colorway on their jerseys. And so yeah, I'm interested to
Mhm.
see what the tempo come up with in terms of the court and everything. But yeah, if as
Yeah.
someone who has been to events and seen, the signage and the colorway out in person, it is very stunning. And so yeah, I'm excited to see how that goes. And I'm sure they're gonna bring some Toronto flair to it as well. But happy
Yeah.
that Violet is has hatched. They had the
Yeah.
egg thing going on, has hatched, and so yeah, she's super cute.
Mhm. Love
Oh,
that. Love it for the fans and an immediate fan favorite. Like,
yeah.
Valkyrie Nation really stepped up and embraced her. That was very cool.
I mean, they step up and embrace everything. That's a very
This is
passionate
true.
fan base, which is
Yes.
fantastic to see in their
Yeah.
first year. I'm excited. Valhalla in the playoffs, like I've been saying this for a long time. I do not want to face the Valkyries in the first round of a playoff series.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter who it ends up being. Right now, it's looking like it could be like a New York and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Who knows how the standings are gonna flop, but if I'm one of those teams, I do not want to go into Valhalla in a playoff atmosphere. That place is going to be rocking.
Well, at that point,
Um,
you're happy that you get the first 2 at home, right? Like, you don't have to
yeah,
deal with that until
I
game 3.
actually think that they're flip-flopping. I think that they're playing game 1
Oh,
at the
that's right,
higher
that's right.
seed, and they're
Yep,
going
yep.
yeah, because they wanna guarantee that everybody gets a game, so they're
Yeah,
flip-flopping, which again is
yeah.
gonna be rough if it's a New York because you're going back and forth from West
Yeah,
Coast to
cross
East Coast.
country. Yep, yep.
Not my job to figure out. So, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I would not want to walk into Valhalla in a playoff situation. And if they make the playoffs, like I said, they're guaranteed at least one game.
Yeah,
Um, that's gonna be the ticket, the ticket of
1000%.
the
That might
season.
be worth another trip to the Bay Area. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. Oh man. Well, I mean, we're coming down here to wrapping it up. This
Mhm.
is our only your well, we might check in from Vancouver. We're gonna try and coordinate a check-in, a podcast check-in from Vancouver. But
Yeah,
um, as of now, you and I are heading out to the field. We're gonna be heading out to the Vancouver game. We're gonna get some
mhm,
atmosphere. You're gonna be checking out what the vibes are, and I got some fun stuff coming up from Vancouver as well. But
yeah.
nice to chat before we head out there, and excited to see you in person.
Oh, right back at you. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what the tempo activations are.
Mhm.
Portland as well. Would love to see
Yes.
what the Fire bring to the party. Just what,
Yep.
5 hours north of the Rose City. So, yeah, I'm super excited for my first Canada game, and I cannot wait to see your gorgeous face in person.
Oh man, yeah, it'll be fun. But thank you so much for listening to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. Despite the fact that Cindy and I are headed out on the road, there will be episodes for the rest of the week. The podcast doesn't stop when we leave, as much as you may think it does. Kidding, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the Her Hoop Stats podcast here, wherever you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. Make sure to follow us on social media on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram, and also subscribe to herhoopstats.com if you liked all of the stats I was spitting out about Azare and Veronica Burton and others, because I got it all from herhoopstats.com.
Mhm.
And you can compare literally every player, every stat in the entire league, both WNBA and college. So worth the price of admission. Head over there to check that out. And until tomorrow, thank you so much for listening. This is the Her Hoop Stats podcast.